react to anything when half the area is so lit up.
You good,
or
bro?
It's so dark. No, dude, Sonic Superstars is driving me mad.
Why are you playing this fuck ass game?
I don't know. I'm trying to do a YouTube review. Dude, I can't see anything ahead of I can't see anything ahead of me.
Bro, just open your eyes.
Oh my god.
Dude, so bad. Oh my god, bro.
Alright, listen up. Sonic Superstars is not the greatest Sonic game ever made. However, it does make a strong attempt at being a great Sonic game. But even though it does make a strong attempt to be a good Sonic game, it still fails in a lot of areas that I will be going over in this video and talking about all my problems that I have with this game and why it's overall a bad Sonic game. And what the fuck are you doing? Oh my god. Okay then. Oh fuck! And anyways, with all that being said, let us get into talking about Sonic Superstars. I wanted to dedicate a section of the video to this because I feel like it's a big deal. First, let's discuss these graphics, because this was a huge selling point for the game. It's 2.5D graphics, and like I said before, it's great for the most part. I still think the character models look weird. I just don't like these designs, and I never have. I think they're too friendly and cute. I want an edgier classic Sonic, kind of like the Sonic CD intro, because this just does not look good in my opinion, and I'm never gonna like it. Aside from the models, the backgrounds look fantastic. They're very detailed, and honestly, I'm starting to prefer 2.5D graphics over pixelation, and it goes further than just graphical fidelity, because the level environments are also very new and creative visually. The game's visuals are fantastic, especially in the zones departments. You guys have no idea how refreshing it is to see all new environments in this game instead of just reusing old ones. And on top of that, these environments are consistently good looking while also being distinct from one another. Although, in my opinion, the biggest flaw with these environments is the soundtracks for them. Half of this soundtrack will be the best Sonic music you will ever listen to, and then the other half uses the terrible instruments from Sonic 4 that is so bland and boring. Here, just take a listen to Lagoon City Act 2, which is by far my favorite track in the whole game. And this song is absolutely beautiful, but then we have songs like the one from Press Factory, where it uses the terrible Sonic 4 instruments, and it's just like an insult to my ears. Take a listen. Like, it felt so jarring to go from Sonic CD quality music to the terrible instruments that Sonic 4 uses. And overall, that is everything to talk about the world and atmosphere. I love how we're getting all new zones, and I hope Sonic Team continues to stick with the new zones, making new environments instead of just reusing old ones. But now it's time to talk about the gameplay. Okay, but what about the gameplay? Is the game itself fun? Well, actually, yes, for the most part. The game controls pretty much one-to-one with Sonic Mania, which is an astronomical W. This game controls like butter. It is smooth, the physics feel great, everything about these controls is perfect down to the tiniest of details. In fact, these controls alone make the game fun to play without even getting into the level design itself. But yeah, the controls are fun and all, but what about the level design? Well, the level design is a very mixed bag. The only levels that I actually enjoy in the game are Bridge Island, Speed Jungle, and then Lagoon City. The rest of the zones and their gimmicks and everything just don't stick well, or like don't stick the landing. The game, in a weird way, almost reminds me of Donkey Kong Country. Basically, you have the minor gimmicks, but then you also had zone-specific gimmicks that were very crucial into succeeding in the level. Except, unlike Donkey Kong Country, the gimmicks in Sonic Superstars are very hit or miss. Some of the time there will be a fun little gimmick, such as the water slides in Lagoon City or the vines from Speed Jungle. But then other times the gimmicks overstep its boundaries, such as Press Factory, where you have to constantly step on this button to prevent Sonic from blowing up randomly. Or my least favorite, in Capital City, there's this auto-scrolling segment that breaks the pacing of the game, and I thought we already came to an agreement that auto-scrolling levels are not made for Sonic. This goes against the entire philosophy of the only thing that can slow Sonic down is the player's skill. And even dumber, there's this segment in Cyber City where Sonic transforms into a mouse and has to go up this wire maze to reach the next section of the level. Except the problem is that you can't turn around and there are enemies that you cannot see. So if you go down a path, there's a chance that an enemy is waiting there to kill you. You are relying on the fate of the universe to get past this segment the first time you play it, and that is extremely dumb. And the boss fights in this game are also a pretty mixed bag. They do have great challenge. Sonic Team is getting way better at adding challenge into Sonic games that's actually fair. Like, a lot of these bosses, I actually had to pay attention to beat them. Like, for the Fang boss fight in Golden Capital, I spent like an hour and a half on that, and then for like the final boss in the first campaign, I spent like 2 hours on that. And when I finally killed them, it felt so satisfying because I used my skill and my skill only to beat the boss fights. The video that I made a few months ago, pinpointing the most difficult Sonic game, is now officially outdated because I feel like Sonic Superstars is now the most challenging Sonic game I have ever played. But like, another thing that I don't like about these boss fights is how long they are, especially later in the game. A lot of the boss fights feel like they have way too much scripted sequences that drags them down. And like, I like my classic Sonic bosses where like, it's just a quick boss to fight at the end of a level and then you go on your merry way. But in Sonic Superstars, you gotta take your time with these. They take a long time and they have a lot of scripted sequences, and the only reason I spent like 2 hours or like an hour and a half on a couple of the bosses is because, like, every time I died, these bosses don't have checkpoints, so I have to start it all over from the beginning, and especially in Golden Capital, where it's annoying. So every time I died, I had to sit through, like, 4 minutes of scripted sequences at a time, and, like, overall, I think the bosses are half of a W, but they just take way too long to complete. And anyways, that is everything for the first half of the game. Now I'm going to get into talking about the second half of the game where you play as Trip. Now, Trip's story is basically just like a forced, like, extreme difficulty of the game, and I don't really like it. I already don't really like Sonic Superstars from the main campaign, so the fact that they force you to replay the game, but they just make it more difficult, and this difficulty just feels like a cheap extreme mode to, like, justify the $60 price tag, which I don't feel like this game is worth $60 at all. And, like, I already don't like the first half of the game, so the fact that they're just making it more difficult and it's mandatory just feels like a punch in the face to me as a Sonic fan. It's not really that good. And I have not completed Trip's story yet, and I feel like I don't want to because I already don't like Sonic Superstars, and I'm not trying to go through just a more difficult version of the game that was already really annoying to play through. But anyways, with all that being said, let us get into the conclusion of today's video. So, in conclusion, should you buy Sonic Superstars? Is it worth the $60 price tag? And my answer is no. Just no. Like, in fact, I just checked the PlayStation Store right now, and Sonic Superstars is going for a 60% off for $31.99. Like, I feel like that price tag would have been way more worth it than the $79.99 for the base edition, which it costed me like $100 to play the digital deluxe edition at launch, which it was not worth it at all. This is not really a good Sonic game, and I don't recommend buying it. Like, I feel like this would have been a good base price, but no, they just had to charge $60. And overall, like, I don't really like Sonic Superstars. I give the game a 3 out of 10. It does have some good ideas, and I like how they're innovating on the classic Sonic formula, but I feel like it did not stick the landing. I feel like Sonic Team and Arzest should come back to 2D Sonic, though, so that they could, like, make improvements to, like, Sonic Superstars and everything, and fix all of its issues. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified for when I post future Sonic content or any content. And go follow my TikTok at SonicEditYT. Anyways, I thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and goodbye.